What's up everybody, Matt here. Today we are talking rats, and I'm definitely talking about the pedal. I'm going to show you today how to turn your normal boring rat distortion into this. And I'm not just talking aesthetically either, because there is like a white enclosure that I painted and some blues driver knobs from a Boss pedal that I stuck on there. But there's a lot of components and a lot of things that we're going to be looking at that are different, that are super ridiculously cheap. And if you have a soldering iron, you've got some of the basic equipment, you can install this stuff and get your rat pedal modded and sounding great for under $20. Sound samples will be at the end, where I'll be comparing the regular rat with the modded version, and then you'll be able to hear sort of back and forth, you know, the tonal differences. One thing is, I definitely fixed the fact that on stage you can't see the LEDs from these guys, because when you turn it on you can't see it's like right in the middle of the A if you don't know. But what I did was I replaced it with the blue one, and I upped the resistor voltage that powers that, so it's like really bright now. So there's that. There's a bunch of other stuff that we're going to be looking at, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so we've got the rat completely taken apart, well, except for the circuit board being out. All you have to do to get this is just to pull out the input jacks with a 14mm socket, and then screw, and then I believe the pots are like a 12, maybe a 10, I'm not sure, but the volume knobs just pop right off and you can do that. I'm just gonna save a little bit of time here and leave the pots in, but I'll take the jacks out just so we can kind of see what's going on. So the very first and most important thing when you mod a rat pedal is to change the op amp chip. Now op amp is an operational amplifier, and this is actually placed right here. So this is an op 07DP chip. If you replace that with an LM308, which you can find those online, you can find those in mod kits. Monte Allums sells a mod kit with that. You can replace that. That smoothens out the gain. It makes everything really, really awesome. So that is the most important thing. And this is an IC chip, so you want to be really careful to have a socket when you place that in. Otherwise, you could risk damaging the chip by just soldering it straight to the board, if you're not a professional, of course. Next, if we remove this one right here, this capacitor here, C4, this is stock 0.002 microfarad. If you swap for 0.0033 microfarad, it takes away that spikiness in the highs when you roll the filter back real hard, and that'll be a really awesome upgrade to the pedal as well. Next, if we replace diode 3, the diode on top here, the diode is stock an IN270. If you swap that for an IN4002, that will take away some of the compression and give you more of like a, I guess, sound reminiscent of more like a Marshall 2 or like one of those old box amps. You can kind of get that kind of sound by swapping out that individual diode. Now, if you purchase a mod kit with a gain switch or a toggle switch, you're going to be told to replace diode 2 with the toggle switch and everything like that. But for just this simple mod, we're just going to replace diode 3. That'll take away enough compression to make a difference for sure. So if we look at this resistor here at the bottom, this is R5. R5 is stock 1K. If you swap that for a 1.5K resistor, that will add even more gain into the circuit. This is sort of where you get that gain boost, especially with the op amp chip. This whole circuit piece right here shapes your gain tone. So swapping out some of these parts specifically just in that area will change a lot of sound drastically for the pedal as well. Next, if you look down by those two capacitors in the middle, about where my thumb is, there's another resistor right there. That one is R12. This is how we control the brightness of the LED that I mentioned earlier. It's stock 1.6K, so a 1.K resistor should do the trick and make that LED a little bit brighter. And lastly, for this mod, if you look at this capacitor here, this one is C12, and this one is C3. These two capacitors are stock 0.022 microfarad, so if you swap those for 0.47 or greater, you'll get a lot of improvement to the mid and the bass tone. So swapping these two guys out for a little bit greater of a resistor, or a little bit greater value of capacitor, will definitely increase a lot of the EQ. Now, this last part is purely optional if you want to kind of descend your rat into the fuzz territory, kind of like I've done. So if I move these wires out of the way, we revealed a capacitor right here at the very bottom. So if we take this guy out, this is actually C1, capacitor 1. It's stock 100 microfarad. So if you increase that to 220 or greater, you'll get a whole lot more bass input, and it will come through a lot more in the mix. Now moving the wires out of the way again. This capacitor here up at the top, right here. This one is stock. This one is C9. It's stock 4.7 microfarad. If you swap it for 5.3 or greater, you'll enter into the fuzz territory. More and more bass will be added into the EQ of this circuit, and you'll probably be really impressed once you start adding the distortion all the way up. If you see these two yellow wires here, these are actually connected to the LED. You may be able to get a glimpse of it kind of pushed down into the side there. Now that comes right out in the A in the rat symbol. So what you do when you pull the circuit board out is you desolder where that is, and it just pops right out. You want to be really extra careful though to make sure that you rewire the next one the same way, otherwise you could have a ground problem. Let's check out the way that this sounds once all these things are performed.